Before we get started, I wanted to mention to everyone that the speaker participation sheets that I have are almost all relating to property taxes and the budget. So it will be that you will not be talking during public comments. You would come up as I call for people to talk at the public hearing. It's just, a matter of procedure. But I'll read the public hearing and then I'll say, I have a first call. So, and then I'll call for the people who have signed up. I mean, you're still going to get to talk. It'll just be under the right area. So it's not, I know it seems confusing. It's not. Okay. Excuse me? Yeah, we won't hang on to you for a long time. No, it's the public hearing that you'd be addressing. Okay. Okay. Call to order this meeting of the City of Manvel for the City Council meeting, which is running about 30 minutes behind, so we're at 6:30. We have an inspirational reading by Council Member Tyson.
You must be clear about what you want, have the courage to ask for it, and be willing to hear no.
Very appropriate. Okay. All right. Will you stand and join me in the pledges, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And to the public hearing, to hear input on the 2022 tax year proposed property tax rate. A tax rate of 0.573247 per $100 valuation has been proposed by the governing body of the City of Manvel. Proposed tax rate, 0.573247 per $100. No new revenue tax rate, 0.497971 per $100, or voter approval tax rate, 0.582048 per $100. The proposed tax rate is not greater than the voter approval tax rate. As a result, the City of Manvel is not required to hold an election at which voters may accept or reject the proposed tax rate. All right, I'll make my first call for those who'd like to speak to this issue. And I'm going to ask Joreen Martin to come forward. I want to reiterate that we have 3 minutes for each speaker.
It won't take me that long.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say that I know that y'all know this, but with the current economy, this is not the time for an increase, even if it's a small one, on anybody's taxes or anything else. Well, we're having to help people with food and medicine and, different things just because their paychecks aren't enough to cover everything. So I just wanted to let y'all know that this is, it's just an extra burden on people who are already struggling with the high inflation rates. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Kevin Schmidt.
Just made some random notes during work, so my apologies if it's convoluted. Really just want to reiterate what this nice young woman was just saying. times are hard for people. I see people lined up getting at the local churches, getting food. That line hasn't gone away in like 2 years. So kudos to everyone who helps out. It seems a little bit, I mean, you're within 13% of the threshold of getting in front of the voters. The voters would decline this all day long. No one wants taxes. Now is not the right time. Let's see, we're talking about the home prices. Valuations. Valuations have gone up. Everyone's happy with that. Where everyone's maybe cashing out, getting refi, getting some money. Rates are high, so no one's doing that right now. But, so we're getting the benefit of the higher valuation. You're getting the tax benefit of that. Don't increase the levy rate. I think it's like it's double dipping, as George Costanza would say. Thank you very much. So I just think the threshold is too high. Let's keep the status quo, 0.497. We're getting a lot. We have like 1,000 new homeowners here, like every single year it seems. That's tax revenue right there. They're building all the new roads. Great. Permits. I just went through a whole bunch of permits this past year. My renovations. So I am getting 8% tax increases every year. I think that's a cap. That'll probably be going on for the next 2-3 years, maybe 5. So thank you for that. But I think it's just double dipping for that. Homeowners have also been impacted in Brazoria County with, as we know, Harvey. And then FEMA went through at the end of 2019. And everyone who's in a Zone X is now in Zone AE. Impacted me, a whole bunch of my neighbors. So our flood insurance that was maybe a few $100s has now gone up about 1,000%. Aside from that, one other thing, I was listening to NPR, just want to share with this. Everyone's very learned here. Listen to NPR. There is a town, Sandy Springs, Georgia. I've been there, very nice town. They got some nice buildings. That mayor has outsourced everything. So whether it's public works, administration, city payroll, HR, outsourced. They do an annual survey with all the residents, get good reviews every year. Taxes are low, beautiful community. That was something I learned this last week. It was kind of interesting. So I want to share, I think we're all at cost cutting. We're all working really hard. We all work really hard. You guys, I mean, I know you do this on your own time too, so I just say, we like Manvel also is like a country town. I mean, I'm only here since 2019. The concern is we're going to become Pearland, and then all the country goes away, and then the taxes just keep going up, and then strip malls. So just let's keep no new revenue tax rate at the 0.497971 and help everyone out. And thank you, and we'll vote for you next year. Thanks.
All right, because procedurally, it's easier for me to do it this way. We have a second call for those who'd like to speak. And so Jenny Judd.
Jenny Judd. I live at 6542 Grapevine Bend. I spoke last council meeting as well. I will second his no new proposed tax rate. I think y'all know Starbucks has gone in, a couple other commercial. Y'all are getting more sales tax on top of the new homes. My fear is you guys are going to tax us out of Manvel, and instead of being positive, city on the rise, you're going to be city on the rise of getting rid of every new resident that you just welcomed. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And then, is it Jen Bunyard? Oh, it's Aaron. I'm sorry. It looked like a G to me. I know you.
You guys are way more intimidating from right here. My name is Erin Bunyard. I live at 5930 Tammy Drive with my husband and teenage daughter. My family moved here around 3 years ago. In the spirit of full transparency, I feel that it's also important to note that I am currently the accountant for the city of Manvel. These thoughts and opinions are mine alone. I feel as though some of the information that gets shared, especially on social media, is a partial, or misleading representation of the actual data, and that is being presented without important context. For this reason, I would like to recite some important facts for the benefit of our great citizens of Manvel. As of June this year, there was a 9.1% national inflation rate. While it is very uncomfortable and unfortunate, please note that it also affects the city as much as it would any other business. The number of city employees has grown from 55 in 2019 to 93 currently. Our population in the city limits has grown from approximately 6,000 people in 2019 to about 11,500 in 2022. Even with all of this growth, where growth equals rising costs, the tax rate in prior years has decreased consistently from 0.69% when I first moved here in 2019 down to 0.64 in 2020, to 0.61 in 2021, to 0.57 in 2022, and now a new proposed rate of 0.573247% this year. That's an increase of less than a penny per $100. Now, property values did not stay the same. So tax bills will likely be noticeably higher this year due to the increase in property values. But what's important to note about that is Brazoria County Appraisal District is who values those properties. The city of Manvel has no control over it, and each homeowner has every right to protest the increase in value. And even if your protest is denied, there are still many ways to protect you against monumental increases. Please encourage our citizens to inquire with Brazoria County for homestead exemptions. Have them ask about deferred property tax payments after the age of 65. Have them ask about disabled vet exemptions. And last but certainly not least of all, the tax payments that are made on each property is a collection of not only City of Manvel, but Alvin ISD taxes, Brazoria County taxes, Alvin Community College taxes, and for some you pay a mud tax. The total amount that goes up will only be affected in a very small part by the City of Manvel. I say all of this to encourage all of Manvel's citizens, both here and watching from home, to please educate yourselves by your own research before forming opinions. Read from trusted and official web sources like Brazoria County Appraisal District. Look at the budget. It's on the City of Manvel's website. The whole thing is posted right there for everyone to see for themselves. Maybe all of you can offer some sort of an open forum meeting with council and staff so that citizens can ask their questions and you can actually give them answers. I beg that our citizens don't just take my word, but definitely don't just believe what's being posted on social media. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Erin. You hopped up, but I don't have another sheet, so. Okay, you do. Oh, not for this. I'm sorry. Come on down. I am too, obviously. Tell us your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Mopsy Thornborough. I live at 6730 Lone Star Ridge in Manvel, and I'm here to speak tonight against the proposed tax increase as I did 2 weeks ago. We are in the midst of some of the worst inflation in my lifetime, and although the media and the government tells us inflation is only 8, 9, or 10%, I just went to the grocery store today, and prices seem to be increasing way more than that. A loaf of bread used to be $1.89, and today it was on sale for $2.99. That's more than 10%. Government is celebrating because gas is under $4 a gallon, but in 2020 it was less than $2. People are being asked to tighten their belt. Well, it's time for government to tighten theirs as well. I have to find things I can do without to make ends meet. Why does government think they don't have to do the same? My appraisal went up almost 33%, and not all taxing entities recognize any kind of exemption, hence the mud tax, for instance. That means my tax bill is going to be higher without any tax rate, tax increase. Brazoria County adopted a no new revenue tax plan this year, and it's time for Manvel to do the same. People are hurting. If you are so sure that these taxes are so necessary, then explain it to the town people, like in a town hall, and then put it to a vote and let the people decide. Not the highest rate allowed without a vote, which is what you're proposing. That is underhanded. Legal, but underhanded. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You can come forward.
Hello, Kenny Caldwell. I'd like to ask some questions to, first of all, I believe there's an $1.2 million surplus of tax money. Is that correct? If it is so, I've never done this before, so, but if it is, why are we increasing our taxes if we have money in the bank? And we had all the operations, everything was paid for, and we still have money left over. It seems like we're doing something right, but yet we want more money. And what's that money for? It's not benefiting the old parts of town. Really, what's happening before our eyes is you have old Manvel and new Manvel. It's not Manvel, it's old and new. All this increase and all this money is for the new Manvel. It's not for old Manvel. We're still without water, without sewer, without gas. We have no amenities that the new people have. We have none of that stuff, yet we're expected to pay for their new stuff. That's just, something's not making sense here. I don't quite understand why the citizens are responsible for the increase. It's like it's taxing us just so you can have extra money. And it's for what? I'm not sure. It hasn't been disclosed. And the on the budget, we're wanting to cut funding for roads. It seems to be a big thing around here, roads. Of course, not in the new part. Boy, they got nice, pretty concrete roads. Now, see, here we go back talking about the other part, the other town, the old Manvel. The other town has crappy roads, and like, again, very few, if any, amenities to go with it, and you're gonna increase my taxes, and you're gonna cut funding to fix my road. That doesn't make none of this is making sense. Somebody's part of the budget, that a piece of property across the street. I mean, that was, why would a person in their right mind pay that much money for it whenever that's not even, that's twice what the rate is of an acre of land? Hooray for the guy who owned the property. Bad for the city, the people of Manvel, whose money y'all gave away, basically paid twice as much for something. That don't make sense. You're not building no more this way because nobody's died or sold out yet. So you can't build east and north. You got Pearland County there. So the only place y'all can build is west and south. The new Manvel. At some point, y'all probably take over, you know, it's getting to where the older parts of town are being neglected in lieu of modernization to squeeze, see how many people we can squeeze into a given area. Instead of having a country atmosphere to where a person would buy a house, have an acre, kids grow up, have dogs, cats, whatever, you got room to run around and have, these new houses, you can mow your grass with a weed eater. You don't even need a lawnmower. There's not even no grass. You don't have a dog because there's nowhere for it to go. I mean, really, the rural country atmosphere is being ruined as progress. At some point, it's going to be like South Houston. We're going to be a little island, and you're going to have Pearland and Alvin and Houston all encroached, and it's going to be one that's going to be landlocked at some point, and years down the road, but it's going to happen. And you'll have all these houses packed in, and if we get, I think I heard Section 8 is coming about. Are you kidding me? You're inviting crime to your city. That's a beautiful idea. Invite crime, because with Section 8 housing does come crime. And that's what we need. So then we're going to have more policemen, which is going to cost more money. You're going to raise, more taxes. Here we go. I mean, it goes round and round.
Thank
Never
you, sir.
stops.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Bad.
We appreciate. All right, now make a third call for anybody who'd like to speak to this.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I didn't plan anything to speak tonight, to say tonight, so I wore a hat, and I know how you feel about hats, Mayor, so my apologies about that. I don't stand here under any disillusionment that the job that you have as mayor or as council members, city employees, especially city manager, is easy, because it's not. But there's a quote that I like from Martin Luther King Jr. that reads, "The ultimate measure of a man or woman is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but it's where he or she stands at times of challenge and controversy." And that's what you guys have before you with this budget and this tax rate. While, what you proposed during the workshop, 57 cents, would keep the tax rate stagnant, that will see the average resident, they will see a tax payment increase of roughly $231 to the city. That's a lot of money for people. Now, just like everybody in the crowd, we've seen our personal costs increase because of inflation. We've seen gas prices go up. The city's seen the same thing as well. For the projects that you guys have to do, it's going to cost more to do those, and there's no signs of that slowing down anytime soon. But since I've been a homeowner for the past few years, my wife and I, we chose to purchase our first home in Manvel. We chose this community because it's special, and our ability to stay in this city is being threatened because of the action, not just of the appraisal district, but also of taxing entities. I've heard countless times the appraisal district blames the cities or the school districts. The cities blame the school district blames the cities. I think everybody has a part to play. It's a balance. Appraisals go up, tax rates drop. Anything above the no new revenue rate for the average resident will most likely be a tax payment increase. And that's just the reality of the situation. I've read through the budget, all 120 plus pages, multiple times, read through it 3 different times last night going into this meeting. The money's there. $2.2 million in unused general funds is going into the bank. Over $30 million is sitting in different operating accounts and investment accounts. You no longer have to transfer money from the general fund to the utility fund because there's enough ratepayers on the system. You don't have to do that anymore. The only difference in the capital improvement projects plan from last year's budget to this year's budget that's not being carried over is 2 plans, the thoroughfare plan and the comprehensive plan. It's $250,000 going to 2 plans. Maybe look at moving those. Maybe look at delaying those. Close to $1 million in this budget is coming from new revenue, not existing taxpayers. The additional $700,000 is coming from current tax rate payers. And we haven't even talked about businesses because they don't have that 10% appraisal cap. So businesses such as the Weeklies who are here and others, they could see their property values shoot through the roof, 30, 40, 50%. They're not held to the same standards. So you guys have an important decision to make. I appreciate your conversation about pay. I think it's a very valid conversation. But I would encourage you to look at even doing a tax rate decrease. Try to get to that no new revenue rate as much as possible And if that means having additional meetings every 72 hours to continue discussing it, please, I know that's not preferred, but please do so. I think by getting that rate as low as possible, it's putting the people of Manvel first. So, thanks, y'all.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Then we have public comments. I don't have any additional speakers for public comments, so. Okay. 6:54, we will close the public hearing. Thank you. And then we have no public comments, and we'll now have the city manager's update.
Mayor and council members, I have two items. The first one is this past weekend, several of the staff members helped coordinate the end of Summer Spectacular. It was the first event of its kind that we had here. It's right behind City Hall. We estimate about 160 to 170 people came for that 4-hour window, and I'd like to publicly acknowledge the staff members and all the volunteers. We had volunteers from the FFA and the high school come over and help, so we'd like to thank them for all of the work that they did. I showed up at 11, and I know that several of the council members and the staff members also showed up throughout from that 11 to 3, so I think it was a good opportunity to sort of give back to the community. One of the other things I do at the council meetings is give you an update from the Brazoria County website on COVID numbers, excuse me, in the city. From the last council meeting on the 6th through today, we have a total of 7,497 total cases that were in Manvel. 57 confirmed cases, that's down 33 from the last council meeting. 15 probable cases, that's down 1 from the last council meeting. 7,376 recovered cases, that's up 106 from the last council meeting. And again, we haven't had anyone else die of COVID-related illnesses. And again, that's since April. So that's what is from the Brazoria County website concerning COVID in the city of Manvel. So that's what I have for you today.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. And now we move to the regular agenda. Consideration and possible action to approve on first reading Ordinance 2022-0-24, an ordinance approving and adopting the City of Manvel, Texas, operating capital improvement program and MEDC budget for the fiscal year 2023, making appropriations for the city for such year as reflected in said budget, establishing the procedure for intra-budget transfers, approving all programs and expenditures contained therein, authorizing the city manager to make any budgeted expenditure without further action by the city council, and containing other provisions relating to the subject.
Move to table.
All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Consideration and possible action to well, actually, we can probably add item 2 and 3 if we're going to take the obvious.
Your Honor, in lieu of the vote on item number 1, I'll move to table items 2 and 3. It's a matter of procedure.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. Consideration and possible action to approve Resolution 2022R-24 13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Manvel, Texas, approving an earnest money contract and authorizing the purchase of an approximately .2811 acre tract off Peters Road in Manvel, Texas, providing that once all contingencies and conditions for the purchase of the property have been met and there is proper appropriation in the budget to purchase the property, the mayor is authorized to execute any and all documents associated with the transaction.
Mayor and council members, we talked about this at the last council meeting. This is a balance of the property that Isaac sold to the city. It's about 1/3 of an acre, and it's located in the C-12 ditch. Mrs. Isaac, the daughter of the gentleman, the couple that we bought it from, received a tax bill. She thought that the city had purchased this as well. We had talked to her. It's 1/3 of an acre. She's wanting to give it to the city. What we did was we put in here $650 to cover any of the costs associated with that. If there's anything else associated with closing costs, it would be up to $3,000 total cost to the city to purchase that little piece of property. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. If not, I'd recommend that you approve that.
I'd like to give a clarification on this just for those of you who are here, particularly those of you who are here from Old Manvel. The city has purchased 115 acres off of 1128, or South Masters. And this property has been purchased for drainage. And so we are hoping to have the participation with all the drainage districts and everyone to help us to correct some of the problems that that were noted through Harvey. So with that, and somebody's,
I'll move to approve.
okay, second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Consideration and possible action to approve Ordinance 2022-0-26, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-0-29, amending the city fiscal year 2022 budget. We're not. Oh, sorry. Again. Okay, consideration and possible action to approve Resolution 2022-R-14. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Manvel, Texas, approving the broker listing process of Texas Local Government Code 253.014 for the sale of city-owned real property located at 19803 Morris Avenue, Manvel, Texas, providing that final acceptance of any offer is subject to future action of the City Council, approving a broker agreement for the sale of the property, authorizing the mayor to execute the broker agreement, and any documents needed to list the property.
Move to approve.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right. Now we'll do this one. Consideration and possible action to approve Ordinance 2022-0-26, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2021-0-29, amending the city fiscal year 2022 budget ending September 30th, 2022, by amending the general fund to account for a police dispatch console, finance hardware, software, and vehicles for the Community Services Department, directing the budget officer to file or cause to be filed a copy of the amended budget with the city secretary and with the office of the Brazoria County Clerk, and providing this ordinance shall become effective from and after its passage and adoption. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Back again.
We're going to need to do some cleaning up from last year's budget. This is just an amendment to bring money back out of the fund balance that was transferred in at the end of last fiscal year, whenever we didn't get the software completed and whenever we didn't have the console completely delivered and ready to be paid for yet. Those funds dropped back into the fund balance, and we're looking to pull those back out now so that we can actually pay the invoices that we've finally gotten for some of these things. The trucks is an exception. Those were done out of necessity because we can't find any dealers or brokers or anyone to actually give us trucks. Now that we've found some, and we're actually getting our deliveries from the ones that we ordered in October of last year, we're trying to get these trucks on site so that we don't have to wait for next year and wait until August of next year to get these trucks. So we needed a little bit extra out of the fund balance to pay for them while they were on availability and not on hold and not put us on a waiting list at some point in time. So we're looking to move these funds out of the fund balance to try to pay for this. We probably could pay for it with the revenues that we have this year, but it would be a tight squeeze and the auditors would really frown upon it. And so we want to use the money that we've set aside previously to pay for these items.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Number 7, consideration and possible action to approve a variance to the subdivision ordinance, Chapter 62, Section 62-113, sidewalks for the property at 6931 Masters Road, and authorize the mayor to execute the development agreement.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
This is a subdivision variance from section 62111, which is regarding sidewalks for property at 6931 Masters. This is Brazoria County Emergency Services District number 3. This is where their facility building is located. They are in the process of platting that property in order to lease a portion of it for a monopole tower that will be behind the building. With that, the subdivision ordinance requires construction of a sidewalk. So their request is that they do not build their portion of Cedar, and that is from the driveway south to where Cedar dead ends. They will construct a portion on Cedar from their driveway to the property line with the post office, as well as the sidewalk that's required on 1128. So with that, staff's recommending approval of the variance request, and that is for the reason that the Masters Road sidewalk shall be constructed according to section 62111. Cedar Road sidewalk shall be constructed according to same section from the western property line to the western driveway side only, as depicted in the exhibit that's in the attached development agreement. And then 3, upon further subdivision or replat of the property, this agreement is no longer valid.
All right, any questions?
If any further subdivision or a replatting of the property were to occur, this isn't valid anymore. It would give council the opportunity again to look at it if this subject were to come up.
All I heard was this agreement wasn't valid, and I thought, well, then why are we doing this?
Good question.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Consideration and possible action to approve a variance to the subdivision ordinance, Chapter 62, Section 62-111, additional street requirements for the property at 7215 King Street, and authorize the mayor to execute the development agreement.
Hello again. This is subdivision variance request from section 62111 for 7215 King Street. It's about 2 acres of property. The property owner owns the entire block. They gain access from King Street, which is an asphalt road. There are 3 other unimproved street rights away that abut the property. That's Palmetto Street, Kemp Street, and Spillane Street. The property owner would like to demolish the manufactured home that's currently existing on the site, and she'd like to construct a barn dominium. Since the property on King Street has an asphalt surface road already, staff is recommending recommending approval of the variance request to not construct the rights-of-way, or I'm sorry, one half of those rights-of-way for Palmetto Street, Kemp Street, and Spillane Street. The conditions that the subdivision variance would expire upon a change of use from a single-family residential, and then further subdivision of said property.
Any questions, discussion?
Move to approve as recommended.
I second that motion.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. All right, do I have any council comments?
Are you going to announce, how do we get our meeting on Monday on the books? Are we going to get an email about it, or do we have to set it right now?
I got the impression you wanted to do it Monday evening, so 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock is PD&Z. They can wait if we need to talk more than an hour.
1 hour, that's all we got, people.
Yes. You have the dais and the hammer, so the gavel. But 5 o'clock on Monday, does that work?
Yes, it does. All right, any other council comments? I'd like to extend a big bravo to staff for the spectacular event that took place last weekend. It was really nice, and I think we can build on it going forward. But I thought it was really well put together, and certainly we didn't have as many people as we would have liked to have had. But, you know, if we continue to have that event, then I think that it'll catch on, as it were. But I want to thank staff and the events committee for everything they did. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second that. All those in favor? All those opposed? And we have a 7-0.